Ah, good. The news books have arrived. Oh, Lilburn again. Ever since he's married that Elizabeth, they've had 10 more of the little devils. They're just filthy, vile fornicators. Gosh, these are terrible quarters my servants have booked me into. What is this smell? I know we're by the coast, and this is disgusting. Can you smell it, Oh no. Has somebody let the poor in here again? We are poised on the precipice of anarchy. War with Scotland. Rebellions and massacres in Ireland. Treason and sedition in London. If you listen to this loudmouth John Lilburn and his vile followers, we're heading for trouble. Big, big trouble. Not only does he want to level society, he wishes to give you more wages and more time off. How preposterous! He wants to give your servants time to go to the ease, and if they do that, you can watch the taverns fill up with idle drunks as the prosperity of this great nation goes to ruin. Who am I, do I hear someone say? I'm not Bez, as somebody shouted out at Beautiful Days Festival. I'm a much better dancer. I am Bishop Bray. Maybe you don't recognise me from the news books. I've put on a little bit of weight since the freeborn tour. Let's try the profile. Yeah. Not bad. Well, I am from the court of the Star Chamber, where we try rebels, traitors, and blasphemers. And I punish them by boring holes in their noses and their tongues and their... Oh gosh, you're even crueler. You do that, but you put bits of metal in them. Yes. But things have changed a lot since this war, haven't they? I had to go to London recently to do something called compound, pay some fine to this rebel government. So I told Kenny and Trevor, my carriage boys, to get the coach ready. And we set off. Now it's all changed in London. I know none of you here will have ever been there. It's a big place, much bigger than Dorchester. But it's all changing. They've got this new mayor there. Oh yes, he thinks he's it. Right? Right? Kenny and Trevor, my carriage boys, they're really proud of their coach and horses. They really are. So as we came in the Great West Road to London, we were stopped by soldiers. Yes, soldiers. And they went up to the horses, and as I said, Kenny and Trevor, they love these horses. No, not like that, you vile-minded man. And they went up to the horses, and they lifted up the tails. Something about they needed to check the emissions. But you're so easily fooled. I warned you, didn't I, on the Freeborn John tour and at other places. I warned you how easily fooled you. I mean, look at you. You're all so unhealthy, aren't you? Yep. You are. You're all sick. I keep hearing people say, oh, I've got this virus. Yes. Well, you know why you're sick? Look around you. No one is smoking tobacco. Right? Yes. You look around you at the people near you, eh? You're breathing in all their air, all their diseases, without purifying it with tobacco. You'll be telling me next that you drink water and eat vegetables. Now, as I said, we're poised on the precipice of anarchy. You men out there, you men, you will no longer be masters in your own household. And you women, oh yes, my dears, you women, you will no longer have the protection and the timeless comfort of the paternal blanket. And your children, oh yes, your children, eh? Eh? For when they will no longer leap to their feet in fear and awe in their father's presence, and when you can no longer beat them into a healthy state of subservience, they will run wild like foxes. Your servants, they will no longer bend their knee and doff their cap to you. Now, I have a lot of trouble with my servants, do you? Do you? Yeah. Well, I could solve your unemployment problem in one stroke. Before your Second World War, there were 3 million servants in this country. So let's bring it back. Unemployment cured. No problems. But the trouble is, you have all these, what do you call them? Labour-saving devices. I bet you've got a dishwasher, haven't you? Got a dishwasher? Yes. Well, I have got 3. Trevor, Bob and Alice. I'm here tonight to warn you that we face bellum civili, civil war for the unwashed and unlettered up at the back. Brother, fighting brother. Fathers killing their own sons. And now they lay united together once again, entwined in the nakedness of death, in grave pits across 100 battlefields in this country. Our king, our sovereign Lord King, not to forget, God's anointed on this earth, sits in chains. His towns and cities destroyed and laid waste. And now, just as our Saviour was betrayed by Judas Iscariot, he has been sold to this pretend parliament by the Scots. And that's always what you get when you let the Scots into the government. That worked a bit better when Gordon Brown was still around. But you said you're so easily fooled, aren't you? So many of our royalist men gave their lives for this war. We fought hard, we died. And I came back and I thought, well, what's going on? There's still a monarchy. There is still a House of Lords. Us bishops still sit there. So maybe we won the war. But it's your MPs I really hate. These MPs, eh? Many perks, I call them, for multiple pensions. If there's any younger people out here, you might hear a few of the older people saying, oh, look, there's a dead bishop on the stairs. Well, is it the baby-eating Bishop of Bath and Wells? And that's because they spent too much time in the 1970s and 80s drinking real ale and smoking hemp. And what about taxes, eh? What about your taxes? Oh, you all complained, didn't you? Oh, we don't want to pay this shit money. Why do we have to pay shit money? Well, taxes now are than they've ever been. They've even put a tax, this Parliament, onto your Englishman's birthright, something that God gave you as a free beneficial gift. Beer. So think that 'twas not the king that taxed your ale. No. This new model army. They're terrible. They've taken everything. It's my palace, it's my lands, it's my money, not theirs. And I went and visited some local gentry as I was down here. I thought I'd go. So I went to Corfe to see Lord and Lady Banks. No Lord and Lady Banks, no. So I went to Montague House to see the Phillips family. No. So I thought, I better just check my West Country palace. So I went there, and I got there, and it didn't say Bishop Bray's palace. It said it belonged to somebody called Nat Trust. He's so wealthy, I think he must be a friend of Cromwell's. Well, even the fox and the hare have fallen out. Those once great bedfellows, Oliver Cromwell, the bankrupt brewer of Huntingdon, the man that ran at Marston Moor, and the seditious libeller John Lilburn. Now, those once great bedfellows are further apart than a strumpet's legs. And these levellers, and when I normally say that, Mark Chadwick appears, but he's not here tonight, I don't know. These levellers now sit imprisoned in Burford Church, ready in the morning to bite on the executioner's bullet from their own men. For this is how these rebels repay them. They repay them with death. So now you have heard all that is true in this world, all that needs to be done. But I've had a letter about you Dorset people. You're all from Dorset. Is there anybody from a long way away, like Upway? No. Well, my friend is Sir Harry Ashley, and he's the local magistrate. This is all true. I have not made this up. And if there's any reenactors here, I want you non-reenactors to look carefully when I say this, what he's written. He said, recently, in Puddletown, the bailiff found Edward Gange in the stable with a young mare colt, and the door was barred. He was high-coloured and in a sweat. His bosom and hose were very hairy, the same colour as the colt. Okay, can you just all check your neighbour's breeches, please? Now, you men out there, I know some of you are getting a bit decayed and ancient now, but I'm sure in your youth you were very good at carousing the night away. But not as good as the people of Dorchester, for he writes that on the Sabbath, after evening prayer, one Patty, Mr. Patty, and a master butcher were drinking long and hard, claiming they were the best. So, to decide who was the strongest, they both pissed into a chamber pot, and then they measured it out by the glassful to ensure that one did not drink less than the other. Yeah, it's not a quiet night in for Sydenham's. Anyway, I have to write. I've had a letter from somebody called Mr. Kelvin Mackenzie. He wants to know what I think of Weymouth. Well, I haven't been there yet. I'm in Radipole, aren't I? Yes. It's across the harbour. Before I leave you, I'm going to recommend some Bible readings for you. 1 Peter chapter 2. Fear God and honour the King. 2 Samuel. And David said to Abishai, Who can stretch forth his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless. And finally, the Book of Caller, verse 88, 2 fat ladies. Now you have heard the truth, not these vile lies that Master Reese told you. Yes, yes. He's going to be shocked when he gets back to his abode. We burnt it. So, who can deny these truths?
I can!
Who?
I've heard your prattling and wailing, and these people have had enough, sir. No bishops! No! Freedom for England!
No bishop, no king, as His Majesty James I said.
Good evening, sir.
Oh, good evening. Aren't you the preacher?
I am indeed,
I
sir.
didn't realise it was dress down Saturday.
Sir! Silence, sir! We've had enough of your prattling and wailing and servants and slaves. So much so the village trumpet has shut her legs, sir. Brothers, sisters, I stand before you today a humble man. A man of these fine towns. A man of the great county of Dorset. A man of England! But more importantly, a simple man of God. I have no need of fine clothes to proclaim my authority, nor do I have need of a pulpit from which to preach my sermons. For just as our Lord was a shepherd to his flock, so my true place is amongst the people, teaching his scriptures. But sadly it seems our bishop here seems to have forgotten his vocation. For is it not true that every bishop in this land is but a vile mouthpiece for the propaganda put forward by a tyrant king? Through the malicious acts of a papist sovereign.
There is no popery in His Majesty. He's a true Christian Protestant prince.
Unless his wife is under his trousers, sir. For surely she dangles the chains in that household. Through the malicious acts of this sovereign tyrant, I, like every one of you here today, am shackled. For we are not governed through the voice of men, but by a king who would silence the words of every one of you here today.
You are not governed. You are governed by king, parliament.
Silence, sir! Yak, 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 yak. Let me finish. I did you the credit of staying silent. Please do the same for me, sir. A king who would enrich himself through the efforts of every one of you. A king who would conspire and ally himself with foreign invaders and mercenaries sent here to plunder and kill us all. Papist Irish rebels linger yet upon these shores. This king sees fit to initiate laws which result in you suffering from poverty, malnutrition, war, and at worst death. And though a man like any other, this king claims he is the protector of us all. Is that not true, sir?
He is. He's your father.
And fervently asserts that his position is a divine right. If this be true, which I most vehemently protest, why then does the king seek to secrete his wife and son, not on these shores, but in the viper's nest of Catholicism that we know as France?
I have a question.
Oh, what a surprise! Bishop!
You seem to be very against the Catholic nations of this world, yet you sport a crucifix.
Sir, you will note this was captured, I believe, from one of your colleagues in the latest Battle of Weymouth. As his head dangled and bobbed up in the harbour, I thought it only right to recycle it. But we digress.
And you undress.
I beg your pardon, sir.
And you undress, so you're not fit to come before company. Look at you, like a
Sir,
Rain Street urchin.
Rather than my money being spent on foppery and clothing and palaces and everything you seem to think that is rich, my money goes to these people. These are the poor. These are the sick. These are the people that your royalist balls have destroyed. That's cannonballs, in case you were wondering, Bishop.
Thank you for clarifying.
I thought I ought to. But it is the rights of the common man I seek to represent today. We have heard his bishop pontificate most vociferously on a number of subjects, most noticeably his horseboys, Trevor, and who was the other one, sir? Kenny and Trevor. But where are Kenny and Trevor? Have any of you seen them here today?
They're out minding the coach in case we get double yellow lines.
Quite possible. I shall concede that point to you, Bishop. But do Kenny and Trevor have no voice? No hopes? No dreams? No ideas? Or are they to be hidden away? Their very existence subject to the whims of their capricious master.
Who pays their wages?
At least somebody does, sir. I find it incredulous at this time that Kenny and Trevor are considered to have no voice of their own, no opinions worthy of utterance. Kenny and Trevor might have concerns about a number of things. The high number of immigrants coming to this country. The inordinately high taxes being levied on you, the common man. The lack of provision even, from his king to provide money for the sick. And even worse, the inordinately high parking rates in Weymouth. I agree with you there, Bishop. And yet, their words, if uttered, just fritter away on the breeze. Brothers and sisters, we have such short memories when it comes to repression and subjugation. Just 60 short years ago, our Dutch allies cast out the tyranny of Spain. Please allow a humble servant of the Lord to refresh your memory. In 1581, the Dutch put together the Act of Abjuration, during which time they cast out the papist tyranny of the despised Philip of Spain, quoting as follows: "As it is apparent to all that a prince is constituted by God to be ruler of a people, to defend them from oppression and violence as the shepherd his sheep, and whereas God did not create the people slaves to their princes, to obey his commands, whether right or wrong, but rather the prince for the sake of his subjects, without which there could be no prince, to govern them according to equity, to love and support them as a father his children, or a shepherd, and even at the hazard of life to defend and preserve them. And when he does not behave thus, but on the contrary oppresses them, seeking opportunities to infringe their ancient customs and privileges, exacting from them slavish compliance, then he is no longer a prince, but a tyrant, and the subjects are to consider him in no other view. Is this not how we live in this country today? Does the king not seek to establish a hierarchy where his subjects have no redress? Those poor misguided fools from such places as Wales and Cornwall, and indeed small hamlets in Dorset, are fighting to enslave themselves.
In your mind, sir, but not in theirs. They fight for their old liberties, the Protestant religion, and the laws of this land against you who would take it. It was not us that brought a foreign army into this country. You brought the Scots in.
There is a good reason, sir, that you do not have a foreign army in the country, and that is Colonel William Sydenham. For you had 20,000 Frenchmen sitting waiting to come here, which we stopped.
There was no such French army. It's all propaganda.
And so is
all
your
propaganda. Or from your news books where you write and prattle and lie. For I continually read that Lord Opton is killed in a battle. Yet he still writes me.
So you wax lyrical once again about the pamphlets and the gazetteers. Did you not yourself quote that in your opening lines of your address tonight? You were the one, not me, who quoted pamphleteers.
Yes.
I quoted an exact act.
For the lies that Lilburn spreads, and you all spread, it's not the king that takes those on his own side that don't agree with him. Oh, we have people that don't agree with us in our army. But you, sir, when they don't agree with you, your answer are the gallows and the block. The man that turned us away at Hull, Sir John Hotham, dead. The governor of Plymouth, Lord Roberts, dead. And 100 others like that. For you are not a parliament, you are a small rump that has driven out the lords. There are more MPs sitting with the king in Oxford than the pretend parliament at Westminster. They're the ones that tax you. They're the ones that take their money, your money, and use it for their perks and their expenses and their duck houses and their transport and their flats. Parliament is the only place in London that you can get a drink 24 hours. And I say that is wrong.
Sir, in only answer to that, I say better a small rump than a large arse.
You've got one, so you should know, sir.
It waggles beautifully and has been well fed, thank you, sir. I'll have you know this has taken many a pint of beer to get to this size. Over years, of course, not just sensible drinking. I say unto you all, trust in the Lord thy God. The time is coming when every man will have his grievance heard by a parliament dedicated to representing all of us, and where the voice of the masses will outweigh that of a single man, whether he be king or commoner.
May I ask you a question?
Why, you haven't stopped all night. Carry on.
Okay. So you talk of this parliament representing the people, but did you guard under Colonel Pride on the door and drove away loyal commanders of your army like Sir William Waller, who now is imprisoned?
And rightly so, sir.
Why? Because he would not go along with your murderous schemes, for he knows that this nation needs healing.
Sedition and repression get crushed. Was it not the kings of old who demonstrated exactly how traitors should be treated, sir? It was not Parliament that established torture chambers within their castles.
But they're the ones that use it, for they're the ones... The king, His Majesty, banned the use of the rack. And now you put the whole nation on the rack with your taxes.
There is nothing wrong with a rack of lamb, sir. I'll have you know, with a bit of mint sauce, as long as it's well cooked, we'll be fine. Torture implements are useful to extract information, sir. And the information that comes forward suggests that there's more than one royalist, shall we say, or parliamentarian that are disloyal to the cause. Colonel William Sydenham, sir, with a band far less than your royalist battle-hardened veterans, gunned you down. The simple fact of the matter is, you go about Parliament using foreign soldiers. Do you not consider the Irish as foreign? It was not Englishmen who charged down from the Nothe Fort, but 250 Papist Irish rebels.
They are not Irish Papist rebels. You lie. They are English soldiers who have served in Ireland, which you slander by calling Papists.
Sir, they were Irish. I heard their accents as they drowned. Papist Irish rebels, every last one of them. It was not our fault that your plan was foiled. Had all your troops attacked at the right time, you may well have won. But Goring was complacent. Your armed forces from Sherborne did not arrive on time. And your rebels did not link up at the time they were meant to.
Oh, we all know it was a military setback, but we won. We
A
won.
setback?
I have told you, we have a monarchy. We have the Parliament. We have lords and we have bishops still in the Parliament. So as far as I'm concerned, we won. Maybe it was on penalties, but we won.
Sir, you may think it is all over, but it isn't yet. Bishops, let's take that term. Bishops. Which organisation own more land in this country than you or I could ever wish to hold?
Yes, and it's my land, not your land.
My land.
Of course it
Not our land. The problem with all these migrants supposedly coming over here, Bishop, are they on your land?
Do you mean migrants, people who come from Portland?
Sir, we still haven't established the cross-channel link for that yet. They would have us pay money every Sunday. Your piety is bought. For as the collection plate goes round, the bishop doesn't bless your soul. He counts another candlestick. Another fine bit of silver to adorn his table. Another manservant to help Kenny and Trevor and Alice. So instead of just having 3 dishwashers, he can have an all-in laundry.
But of course
Your money pays for it all, and he grows fat on you.
I don't see myself particularly fat. I've lost weight.
Perhaps another servant may help, sir.
I have plenty of them. But as I tell you, and to all these people here, and they know this, the truth, that you are better under your betters. You've got Mr. Cameron, so it's obviously true.
Oh. Sir, in the interest of reenactment, I dare not answer that one.
Please do.
That really does leave me in an awkward position, so to speak, politically.
And not the first time you've been caught in an awkward position, I can tell you.
I thought we agreed the little incident in the toilets was not going to get mentioned,
Okay,
sir.
I won't raise it again.
No, something did rise in there and it wasn't me, sir. Where is Kenny, by the way? Is he all right now?
I think it's fine. Master, have you noticed the time?
Oh, my word.
Oh, gosh, I need to go to see Kenny and Trevor because I think our ticket might have run out on the coach.
Oh, no, not here, because I know they're very efficient and he will be booked, and I believe they have a wooden device that clampeth the wheels.
Oh, no. What an unhuman place this town is.
I have to agree on that point. I cannot deny it.
Please don't.
Anyway, sir, I think this debate has raged long and hard, and it has developed a thirst in me, and I fear that you and I need to adjourn to a tavern and to continue this debate.
That's the one argument you've come up with, I agree totally, sir.